Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsyreplays. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to look at the three OG tanks. Yes, three OG tanks that when I first started playing the game, these were the tanks. Like, there was three of them, the three main tanks, and of course they are all tier 10. Now the first one is always been an OG tank. It's nothing special, but it's still probably the most played tank in the game. Now it's a very frustrating tank because you could do things just like that, but the best thing about that, all I did there was like splash damage, and it's still done almost 300 damage. Because of the alpha, you could do splash damage, and you know you could do upwards of sort of 400-500 splash damage with this tank. Of course, we are talking about the Death Star, the FV215B183. Now, this has always been an OG tank. When I first started playing the game, it was one of those tanks that I really wanted to play, but I just didn't want to grind the tank. It was a tough grind because of all the ATs. You know, they're very slow, and it takes a lot of patience to grind this tank. So yeah, I was very happy when I finally got it. I did actually spend quite a bit of money on free XP because I did not want to grind the line at all. Did not enjoy them. Looking back now, I think I would enjoy the line a little bit more because, you know, they're a lot more than armor. They are all about DPM. But the Death Star, even to date, it is still a tank people want because you could do things like that. 1200 damage, and like I said, you could do upwards of 1600 damage with the HE on this tank. And even to date, this is the only reason. Literally, there is nothing else about the tank that people like except for that alpha. So the Death Star, when I first started, was an OG tank, and it is still an OG tank to this day. Moving on to this second OG tank on this list. And we are talking about the Object 140. Yes, not the T62A, not the E50M, not the TVP or any light tank. It was the Object 140. This was the original Russian OG tank. You look back at Twister Cups from however many years ago, and all you would see medium-wise is this tank right here. Everybody wanted the Object 140. Nowadays, it's not really a popular tank. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because it's just not as strong as all the other medium tanks out there. I mean, take a look at the T62A, which is the counterpart to this tank. It received so many buffs. Like, so many buffs. It got OP. They just gave it so much love without ever giving the Object 140 any love. The T62 was just one of those that just kept getting buffed and buffed and buffed. However, when the 140 was there, it just never received love. Now, you look at the Object 140 now compared to other mediums. I mean, look at the E50M, OP. The T62, which is not as OP, but it's still strong. The T22 medium, even the Object 907 to some extent. Like, these are very strong medium tanks. And all along, the Object 140 has just been basic. It got the nerf when they removed the heat damage, sorry. When you used to do the same amount of damage with your premium round. And ever since then, it hasn't really, I mean, maybe minor buffs, minor nerfs, but it hasn't really changed. I do think it needs to be given a lot of love, whether that's a mega strong turret or, I don't know, more alpha. I really don't know how they would buff the Object 140, but it's still an OG tank. Like I said, it was one of those tanks that everybody wanted when I first came into the game. Moving on to the last OG tank. Now, this tank has had its ups and downs. Of course, we are talking about the IS-7. Again, you look back at the old Twister Cups, all you would ever see is Object 140s and IS-7s. It was a strong heavy tank. It still is. It's had its ups and downs. You know, we had a phase where it was a meme. Don't buy an IS-7. etc, etc, because of the ammo rack was very, very weak. You could easily ammo rack this. It was almost, you know, you come up against a Death Star, you're going to get ammo racked. That is how it used to be back in the day. You don't really see too many ammo racks now, not just with this tank, but overall. So it definitely has benefited. But yeah, the IS-7 was like in between a heavy and a medium. It was really, really quick, and you know, it was just super strong. The armor profile was super strong if you knew how to use it. Of course, if you start to angle, it becomes a lot weaker. So you know, as soon as you learn how to angle the tank and how to play the IS-7, it is actually a super, super strong tank. Even today, like I said, it had its ups and downs. At one point, it was all about the IS-7 and the IS-4 was really, really poor. Then we went through a stage where do not play the IS-7, just go play the IS-4, because the IS-4 is better in almost every single way. And then it overtook it really again. It became the meta again. And even today, people still play the tank. It is still a super, super strong heavy tank. And yes, still worth getting. And it's one of the OG heavy tanks in the game. So those are the three main OG tanks that's been around for forever. That used to be really, really good, that everybody wanted to play. Nowadays, like I said, there's still tanks in there that people want to play, and people do play. I mean, the IS-7 is still a popular tank. The Death Star has always been the highest played tank in the game, even from when I started to now. It is still the highest played tank, or the most played tank in the entire game. So those are the three main OG tier 10s. Of course, there are other OG tanks like the Tiger 1, the Lux in tier 4. You know, you've got old lower tier OG tanks, but these three are definitely the main ones. And you know what, just to add another one in the list to make it number 4, I'm not going to play it because I do really struggle and I don't like playing it nowadays. If we go back to tier 6, go to Russian, and of course we are talking about the KV2 along with the Death Star. It's you know, people want to play the tank. It does a massive amount of damage, but yeah, it just gets wrecked too easy. It really gets wrecked too easy. And like I said, with the Death Star, this probably is up there with the Death Star at being one of the most played tanks in the entire game. It kind of got knocked off its pedestal by the Smasher because the Smasher was so strong, but it is still a popular tank. It's just not the same anymore. So those are your top 4 OG tanks in Blitz. Let me know if you was around whilst these were the OG tanks in the game. Let me know in the comments below. But for now, hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. I'm meadsy69, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye-bye.